Welcome to Ask Cadence, everybody. My name is Pete Wright, and I'm sitting around the table in this beautiful first episode of 2009 with Mr. Scott Lissit. How are you, Scott?
Very well, Pete. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Happy New Year. Sort of middle of January, but we haven't been together in a few weeks, so
that's right.
Happy New Year. And John Patton.
Hello, Pete.
Hi, John.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. It's good to be around the table here with you. We have to kick off the new year, we're going to take a step back, up, I think, to the 10,000-foot view a little bit around project management and discuss something that I think is part of the undercurrent of dialogue in the project management field, which is, do we need project management in a recession? Particularly, I think, in a deep recession. Do we need project management to support our goals? I am hearing more and more discussion in the papers and in the field that people are making, business leaders are risking knee-jerk reactionary decisions and making cuts in the interests of a financial decision at the expense of making a smart or strategic decision. I'm interested in your take on that.
Well, that's a great question, Pete, and I think there is a temptation during these times to cut things that can be more critical now than ever. And using project management techniques to manage the implementation of a project so that it comes in within budget, maybe even under budget, is just what we need to be doing now. We need to do more with less. And we've talked on these podcasts about three important performance parameters for measuring projects: cost, schedule, and performance. A lot of companies, a lot of organizations tend to spend more time focusing on schedule and performance. So they'll have a very detailed schedule down to the task level. They will list what are the success criteria, what are the specifications, what are the requirements, so they'll have a very detailed understanding of the performance needed, but they'll often say, well, we don't track our time, so we don't need a detailed budget anyway. Well, that kind of thinking will get us into even more trouble now during a recession. So using project management techniques to efficiently plan the project so there is no inefficient overlaps between functions. There aren't things that fall through the cracks and then have to be fixed through rework rather than if they had been taken care of initially during the plan and identified and planned for, then it could have been done with a lot less time and money. So that's, I think, really the message here today, is using project management techniques to get the most out of your team and eliminate those over budget projects.
And to be thinking strategically more than reactionarily, John?
Well, let's give executives some help here. Let's remember that during a recession, we've got fewer funds. We want to preserve the operation. We want to continue to be able to provide products and services to our customers, but the demand may go down. So we're facing a layoff of people in the factory or factories, and a layoff of people in the services because there's going to be less demand. That's got to be done very, very carefully. Then we must cut projects. There's fewer funds available. We have a responsibility to the shareholders, a responsibility to the public to create a profit or to create benefit if it's a governmental organization. So the project list will be reduced. When you're cutting projects, keep in mind two selection criteria. One question: will this project increase the efficiency of the organization and enable us to do more with less? Question number two: will this project strengthen us internally so that when the recession starts to turn around now into a more prosperous period, we be stronger in relationship to our competition? So you want to use your internal resources that you still have to build strength so that the company can come back quickly as the economy improves. Now, that's on what projects to select. In canceling a project, there's one more question that an executive must continue to ask. Are there strategic implications of canceling this project? If we do cancel it, will it lengthen our recovery period? If we do cancel it, will it cause us to be behind in the marketplace if our competition continues to fund projects like this? This is the time where we really need the wisdom and experience of executives to make the hard decisions that we pay them to make.
What happens when you end up in a situation where executives end up having to make these decisions where they're closing entire divisions and operations? We've heard in the papers recently about large companies closing their M&As, their mergers and acquisitions department. They're closing their research and development initiatives for a period of time. They are mandating no new projects for 6 months. Is that the type of decision making that is necessarily appropriate? Of course, not knowing what goes into the data that goes into those decisions, but are those sorts of blanket cuts appropriate from a project management perspective?
Well, Pete, when you first started talking, I thought this would have an easy answer, because what you started talking about was a going out of business strategy. You know, when you shut down divisions, when you lay off people on a massive scale, that is a going out of business strategy. But then you gave an example of shutting down our mergers and acquisitions unit, laying them off, shutting down our research facility and laying off the people or selling it. Those are strategic decisions. If you decide to lay off a mergers and acquisitions unit that you've spent time building, before I did that, I'd ask, is there something else that they could do in the interim? Because they have unique skills. If you shut down your research center, it'll cost you, depending on the industry, at least 2 years to recover and restaff when the economy turns around, and you will never get back some of that expertise. So, Pete, what I thought was going to be a simple answer now turns into this. It's a complex environment, and the future of the company is weighing on these very hard decisions. We don't want to make them lightly.
Well, John, I think what you and I have been talking about here so far in this episode is that there are 3 levels of decisions, really 3 levels of management. One is at the portfolio level. Another one that we've talked about before is program management. And then I started out talking about project management. I think during these kinds of times, we have responsibilities at all 3 of those levels. So yes, there is a responsibility at the strategic level to reduce the portfolio of projects and programs to only those that are most critical to the company's survival and success after the recession ends and things start getting better. Now, this second level is one that we haven't talked about much yet here, which is the program level. That's a grouping or collection of related projects where it makes sense to manage them together. So there's some synergy between those projects at the program level. Now, it could be that you can delay or cancel a program right now rather than closing a whole division, and that would make more sense for the company overall. And then no matter what the portfolio is, no matter what programs you're left with, you need to apply those efficient project management techniques to make sure that those projects that you do have come in on time and within budget.
In a lean world, everything counts. You're so right on it, Scott.
critical discussion, and we would love thoughts. Please visit the website, send us an email, give us some thoughts about how your organization is handling this, weathering this, the recession that we are in. How are your projects affected?
We will answer every comment.
Absolutely.
We're really interested in your well-being.
Send us an email, cadence@cadencemc.com. On behalf of Scott Lissit and John Patton, I'm Pete Wright. This has been Ask Cadence.